Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Ako po si Dr. Des Roman. Ako po ay isang adult infectious disease specialist at kasalukuyang presidente ng Philippine Society for Microbiology and Infectious Diseases. At ngayong araw, we are here to talk to you about Super WHO, Super Flu. Why humans need ongoing protection from a fast-changing, life-impacting, unseen enemy. It sounds like a comic book villain, but influenza is very real, very fast-changing, and very capable of disrupting lives every year. Just when we think we know it, the virus evolves, slipping past yesterday's defenses and returning stronger, smarter, and more widespread than before. The 2025 flu season reminds us that influenza is not just flu. It's an unseen enemy that hospitalizes millions, threatens vulnerable populations, and can leave lasting complications long after the fever fades. This is why questions about the so-called super flu, the effectiveness of today's vaccines, and the need for annual vaccination matter now more than ever. Understanding how influenza changes, why protection must keep pace, and what's truly at stake isn't just about science. It's about safeguarding everyday life, because when the flu evolves, so must we. A social media post published at the start of the year and picked up by major news outlets captured the worst nightmare of any young father. Naging viral po ito. Nico Natividad, a local celebrity, shared their family's emotional and frightening experience during a holiday trip to Japan. While having a meal in a local restaurant, their one-year-old son suddenly had a seizure. Gripped by panic, compounded by a significant language barrier, the young father was fortunate to locate a nearby ambulance to attend to the child, whose seizure lasted for 2 minutes and was accompanied by cyanosis. Nangitim po yung bata. The child was later diagnosed with pneumonia and fortunately na-discharge po ng maayos yung bata. The harrowing account concluded with an urgent warning. Influenza and viral respiratory infections were surging across Japan, posing acute risks to young children. As January unfolded, headlines worldwide shifted focus to the super flu, the colloquial moniker for a new influenza variant driving unprecedented seasonal activity. Yung Department of Health Secretary, si Secretary Teodoro Herbosa, initially reassured the public that while the super flu circulated globally, dito sa Pilipinas, it posed no immediate alarm, with only 17 mild cases detected in Metro Manila during the July to August 2025 period, at lahat po sila ay nakarecover. Yet, he emphasized vaccination and basic precautions, particularly for travelers to areas where the strain was exerting a heavy burden. Subsequent reports revealed an emerging domestic trend, rising detections of subclad K cases and warnings of an extended flu season potentially lasting into February or March, coinciding precisely with the Philippines' known secondary influenza peak that historically occurs at this time. This is why it is important to understand what precisely is this super flu, how effective are our current vaccines against it, and why is it so important to get vaccinated against influenza every year. To answer these questions, we will be presenting the burden of influenza for the 2025 flu season, highlighting kung ano po ba yung super flu, discussing the reason behind the need to update the flu protection every year, and discussing the effects and complications of the flu that highlights the importance of prevention. Japan emerged as the epicenter of the 2025 influenza anomaly, declaring the start of their flu season on September 28, 2025, approximately 5 weeks earlier than typical seasonal onset, which usually begins in December and runs until April with peaks from late January to early March. Ito po yung time na malamig sa kanila. Just a few days later, on October 3, 2025, approximately 1 week after the season's technical start, a nationwide influenza epidemic was declared. This formal declaration was triggered by a fourfold escalation in weekly cases, a mathematical benchmark that transcended routine seasonal fluctuations and entered territory suggesting sustained community-wide transmission of unusual magnitude. By October 5 of 2025, 620 schools from nursery to secondary learning closed fully or partially. And pagdating ng October 10 of 2025, 287 cases had been hospitalized, with more than half of all hospitalized patients ay mga bata na ang edad ay 14 years pababa, establishing pediatric predominance in the earliest epidemic phase. Following epidemic declaration, surveillance thereafter revealed consistent case doubling at weekly intervals. Lumipat naman po tayo sa United Kingdom na sumunod sa Japan. With the 2025 to 2026 flu season formally recognized to have commenced in late September of 2025, when influenza positivity rose to 3.3% mula sa 1.9% nung previous week. This timing represented the first epidemiological signal of the season, arriving approximately 1 month earlier than the typical mid-November baseline. Most flu activity in the United Kingdom usually occurs between mid-November and March. The early season surge was characterized by a distinct demographic pattern, with the outbreak predominantly driven by school-aged children aged 5 to 14 years and young adults aged 15 to 24 years, though cases were simultaneously rising across other age groups. Concurrently, flu-associated hospitalizations increased sharply, with the most severe disease burden concentrated dun po sa mga matatanda, over 75 years. England's chief nursing officer warned that the early rise in children was concerning, especially given that the flu circulation in children normally precedes that in adults. In contrast, sa Australia naman po, they reported an unusually prolonged flu season. Their flu season conventionally starts in May, nagpipeak sa August, tapos na by October. But in October, instead of cases winding down, cases began to surge unexpectedly. By the middle of the month, Australia had a total of around 400,000 cases of flu recorded for 2025, already surpassing the total number of cases for the entire 2024 and marking 2025 as the worst flu year on record. Now, how about the Philippines? Dito sa bansa natin, the flu season usually starts during the rainy season, June, and can last until November, with the peak number of cases often being recorded during August. This pattern was evident sa 2025, with the first peak recorded by the Global Influenza Surveillance and Response System on August 11, 2025, kung saan 27% ng mga tests ay nag-positive. The secondary peak of cases usually occurs sometime sa January and March of the new year. However, for 2025, a surge of cases was felt in October when 41% of influenza tests were coming out positive. Local data collated by the Philippine Society for Microbiology and Infectious Diseases na galing sa 4 na tertiary hospital sa Metro Manila also recorded peak influenza test positivity noong October ng 2025 na 42% positivity rate. The Asian Hospital and Medical Center also released during this time the analysis of the respiratory panel results of their respiratory cases. Data from September to early October clearly indicated increase in the proportion of respiratory cases due to influenza A, with the virus becoming the top one isolate. Sa Makati Medical Center naman po, they were able to subtype 206 confirmed influenza A cases during this time by PCR. In the first part of the year mula January hanggang August, it was H1N1 that was predominant. Pero pagdating ng September to October, the predominant influenza A strain became H3. How does this data translate to what is happening on the ground? Ang una pong nakaalam na tumataas yung mga kaso nila was the Quezon City LGU during late September, reporting influenza-like illnesses in their area exceeded the epidemic threshold. The epidemic threshold refers to the epidemiologic value used to determine whether an infectious disease will spread widely or die out. It also indicates the level of incidence above which a disease requires an urgent response. By October, the Private Hospitals Association of the Philippines reported a 10 to 15% increase in hospital consults for influenza, mostly in children and the elderly. Further into the month, several Metro Manila schools and universities also reported yung pagdami ng influenza-like illness cases, resulting in health breaks and shift to online classes. Yung Secretary ng Department of Health natin, si Dr. Ted Herbosa, declared however that the surge in cases was within the usual flu season of the Philippines and there was no outbreak based on local surveillance data. Pagdating ng huling araw ng October 2025, the very first official publication on the emergence of an AH3N2 variant was released from Canada. Yung mga researchers compared all worldwide influenza AH3 sequences available within the Global Initiative on Sharing All Influenza Data between September 2024 and August 2025 to 210,000 AH3 sequences obtained since 1968. They identified AH3N2 subclad J2 as the predominant variant circulating from 2024 to 2025, and particularly a variant that has drifted further from vaccine strains was documented and projected to predominate the upcoming Northern Hemisphere 2025 to 2026 season. By November, experts and authorities in the Northern Hemisphere and the world echoed these findings from the United States to the United Kingdom and the European Union and the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization. By December, multiple countries in the Northern Hemisphere declared an early surge in influenza cases. Balik sa UK and the European Union, temporary school closures were widespread due to outbreaks among students and staff. Yung mga medical facilities were also placed under high strain due to record high hospitalizations with 2,660 cases daily documented sa United Kingdom and 27 of the 38 countries sa Europe reporting high or very high flu activity. 90% ng lahat ng confirmed cases were traced back to the new variant. Canada recorded its highest influenza test positivity rate over the last 3 seasons with 32.4% of cases returning positive. Pediatric patients were hardest hit with 50% of tests returning positive for teens at 64% naman sa children aged 5 hanggang 11 years old. Sa United States, flu activity increased sharply with the CDC estimating there have been 7.5 million illnesses, 81,000 hospitalizations at 3,100 ang namatay dahil sa flu. 8 deaths were in children, 92% of flu samples were identified to be AH3N2, with 90% having the subclad K mutation. Cases were projected to surge further in 2026 as 32 out of 50 states recorded high or very high levels of flu activity. So, what is this new variant? The new influenza AH3N2 variant subclad, ito yung sumikat na super flu. And this influenza AH3N2 ay merong mga mutations that has caused this particular strain of the virus na maging mas mabilis makahawa. This mutation has caused an increase in transmissibility of the virus. So bakit siya tinawag na super flu? The super flu designation, ang ibig sabihin nun is the virus has increased transmissibility, mas mabilis makahawa, and an earlier than typical seasonal emergence which combined to create an unusually early and moderate to severe influenza season in several countries na paaga yung dami ng mga cases ng influenza. What transpired in the 2025 to 2026 flu season with the emergence of the super flu or subclad K is a prime example of the phenomena na kung tawagin ay antigenic drift. Influenza viruses undergo continual antigenic change or mutation in the hemagglutinin and neuraminidase surface proteins. Accumulations in minor mutations over time result in the emergence of variants in a process na tinatawag natin na antigenic drift. Because the antigens of the variant have drifted significantly from the original, nagbago yung itsura ng virus because of the mutation, a person's existing antibodies may be insufficient para protektahan yung taong yon, causing repeat flu infections and seasonal epidemics. Drifts are also the reason kung bakit sa recommendations for the composition of antigens used in vaccines are reviewed at dapat i-update taon-taon. Influenza is a highly contagious disease. Patients may be infectious 24 hours before to 7 days after the onset of symptoms. Itong virus na ito ay naitatransmit mula person to person primarily through large particle respiratory droplet transmission, katulad na lang ng pag umuubo ang isang pasyente o kaya bumabahing. This requires close proximity because yung mga droplet po ng laway or ng sipon generally only travel short distances. Merong iba pang mode of transmission ang influenza, and this includes direct contact with droplet-contaminated hands or surfaces, yung mga tabletops, yung mga doorknobs, where the virus can remain viable for up to 24 hours with transfer from hands to mucosal surfaces of the face. And lastly, pwede ring airborne transmission via small particle aerosols. This can also happen. Karamihan naman po talaga sa mga pasyente will fully recover. But for some, yung mga simptomas may persist for weeks to months. Additionally, 5 to more than 30% of individuals can have no symptoms. Wala po silang simptomas ng flu, pero pwede nilang ma-infect yung mga tao sa paligid nila. Influenza comes at a cost. Yung PhilHealth coverage will not cover the entire bill of the patient. And there are also indirect costs, hindi lang yung direct na mga gastos dahil sa pagkaka-admit dahil sa influenza. For employees, for example, yung mga nagtatrabaho sa opisina, 20 to 75% can miss 2 to 3 days of work on the average. 60 to 80% may opt to go to work despite having symptoms, but they will underperform. Hindi sila makapagtrabaho ng maayos. Yung mga dapat nilang gawin, hindi nila nagagawa ng maayos because of their illness, and this is known as presenteeism. And for those employees who are the primary caregivers of family members, they can miss 1 to 2 days of work to take care of sick loved ones. Certain segments of the population also have higher risk for severe influenza and the complications associated dito. Particularly, yung mga maliliit na bata, young children, mga buntis, people with underlying medical conditions, at syempre yung mga senior citizens natin, ang mga matatanda. Infants are at an elevated risk for severe influenza dahil number 1, immature pa yung kanilang immune system. Number 2, there are anatomical vulnerability dahil mas maliliit yung daanan ng hangin nila. Number 3, their inability to receive full vaccine doses due to the minimum age eligibility, which is at least 6 months. So yung mga bata na mabata pa sa 6 months, hindi pa sila pwedeng makatanggap ng influenza vaccine. And the reliance on maternal antibodies generated during pregnancy for protection, which will wane after birth. 80% of annual influenza-related in-hospital deaths occurring in the first 3 months of life globally. Physiologic changes in pregnancy, sa mga buntis po ito, also increase the risk of severe and complicated influenza. Kabilang po dito yung number 1, suboptimal viral clearance mechanisms from the lungs kapag buntis, medyo overacting, hyperreactive immune responses which generate widespread inflammation and disturbance in the blood flow kapag buntis, mas mabilis po yung heart rate and work of the heart kapag buntis, increased oxygen consumption and reduced capacity ng lungs ng mga buntis. So meron po tayong bad news sa mga buntis. Pregnant women with influenza can expect an increased risk for morbidity at mamatay up to 2 weeks postpartum, which includes an 8 times higher likelihood of requiring hospitalization, na-admit sa ospital ang pasyente, compared dun sa hindi mga buntis, a higher likelihood of being admitted sa ICU, and a higher likelihood of having a cesarean delivery. Yung epekto sa bata nung ipinagbubuntis ay maaari ring masama. Yung pagdevelop ng mga organs or the period wherein the different inner parts of the body develop takes place in the first trimester. So any environmental effect that occurs during this period can actually affect the embryo. During the first trimester, yung maternal influenza infection increases the risk for birth defects or congenital anomalies that can affect the brain, the heart, and the head of the fetus. Other adverse fetal and neonatal outcomes include late pregnancy loss. Sa bandang dulo ng pregnancy, nakukunan pa yung nanay, preterm delivery, reduced or low birth weight, and an infant with a poor status during the first few minutes of life, making invasive interventions necessary. People with underlying medical conditions, yung meron pong mga medical comorbidities are also at increased risk of developing severe influenza. Over 90% of adults 65 years and above hospitalized for influenza have at least one underlying medical condition. And most estimates of the global influenza disease burden focus on the burden resulting from respiratory symptoms of the disease. However, clinical evidence and epidemiological studies have shown an additional hidden burden of influenza disease from broader consequences of the illness. Hindi lang pala sa lungs na apektuhan ng influenza. For adults, it can increase the risk for stroke up to 8 times. Mas madalas silang mag-stroke and heart attack, atake sa puso, up to 10 times after an episode ng influenza. It can increase the risk of pneumonia and exacerbate underlying respiratory illnesses. Sa mga diabetic naman po, pag nagkaroon ka ng influenza, it can increase the number of abnormal glycemic events. And for the elderly, up to 23% experience loss of independence after an influenza infection. Dati nakakalakad yung mga senior citizen, nung nagkaroon ng influenza, nagiging bedridden sila. Yung mga Pilipino over 65 years and older suffer the most severe health effects of influenza and pertussis due to age-related reductions in immunity. Bumababa na kasi yung kanilang immune system, ito ay tinatawag na immunosenescence. Increasing frequency of medical comorbidities, and for some, exposure in congregate settings where outbreaks are common, such as in long-term care facilities, kagaya ng mga nursing homes. Adults aged 65 years and older experience the highest influenza-associated hospitalization and mortality rates globally. Yung mga senior citizens po natin, the elderly population, they have the highest risk of influenza-associated hospitalization rates and influenza-related deaths. A significant proportion of hospitalized elderly require pag-admit sa ICU, and 1/3 of affected develop complications, particularly pneumonia. Earlier, we talked about how antigenic drift can result in a circulating influenza virus that is not a perfect match as the one included dun sa bakuna. Does this affect vaccine effectiveness? Despite vaccine mismatch, influenza vaccines do not lose protective efficacy entirely. Vaccines protect against mismatched flu strains through three key mechanisms. Number one, immune cells can target conserved regions and recognize broader, unchanging features of the virus and internal proteins, making them effective regardless kung ano man yung nasa surface na mutation. And prior exposures build layers of immunity that enable recognition kahit na nung mga bagong variants. And together, these mechanisms ensure meaningful protection persists despite antigenic mismatch, preventing severe illness and hospitalization. Yung mga bakuna po, kahit na merong mismatch, ay nakakapag-prevent pa rin ng hospitalization at malalang complication ng influenza. For the 2025 vaccine, early real-world evidence from the United Kingdom showed that the vaccine remained effective against clinical disease caused by the new variant. Particularly, it is effective in preventing mula 32 hanggang 39% of influenza-related emergency department consultations and hospitalizations para sa mga matatanda, and up to 72 to 75% naman na reduction sa pagkokonsult sa ospital sa mga bata. Now that we've discussed the importance of vaccination and how it works, it is also important to emphasize that inactivated influenza vaccines have a good safety and tolerability profile. Common adverse effects after vaccination ay yung mga local lang naman, ibig sabihin dun lang sa injection site, and systemic reactions that can also occur after vaccination with other types of vaccines, not just influenza, they are just transient. Ibig sabihin, nawawala din sila agad and they are reversible. However, there are serious but less common effects that may occur in 1 to 3 per 1 million vaccinations. Yung severe na allergy na kung tawagin ay anaphylaxis is why doctors should take a detailed allergy history to determine the patient's risk na magkaroon ng anaphylactic reaction. And Guillain-Barré syndrome, this is an autoimmune condition where the immune cells attack the person's own body after being exposed to the influenza virus. It can cause temporary weakness and paralysis. Medyo nakakatakot po, di ba? It may sound scary, but the attributable risk of this syndrome should you get an actual influenza infection is 17 times higher than the number of cases reported to occur after vaccination. Mas mataas pa rin yung risk na magkaroon ng GBS kapag ikaw ay nagkaroon ng influenza versus kung ikaw ay nagpabakuna laban sa influenza. Immunization is an essential component of the Department of Health's 8-point action agenda, which carries the ambitious vision that Filipinos are among the healthiest people in Asia by the year 2040. This agenda prioritizes three overarching impact areas: better health outcomes, stronger health systems, and number three, access to all levels of care. Immunization occupies a strategic position within this framework, particularly in Strategic Intervention 2, which explicitly identifies immunization as a core program area alongside maternal care, tuberculosis, HIV, and nutrition services. Together, we can all realize the vision of a healthier tomorrow by understanding and hopefully supporting immunization. To sum it all up, reviewin po natin yung mga natutunan natin ngayong araw. Influenza viruses undergo patuloy, continual change, and the emergence of the super flu ngayong 2025 to 2026 flu season is a prime example, demonstrating the need to update influenza protection yearly. It is important to prevent influenza because, number one, ito ay highly contagious. Number two, it comes at a cost for the patient, sa pamilya niya, and sa workplace, and sa mga bata, infants, sa mga buntis, people with underlying medical condition, and to the elderly, the senior citizens. These are the group of people that are at a high risk for severe illness and complications. Mataas yung risk na mamatay sila dahil sa influenza. And number 3, annual influenza vaccination is recommended by leading Philippine and international medical institutions and societies. Kasama na po dyan ang World Health Organization, ang Department of Health, ang Philippine Society for Microbiology and Infectious Diseases, ang Philippine Pediatric Society, Pediatric Infectious Disease Society of the Philippines, and the Philippine Foundation for Vaccination. Talk to your doctor about your options for influenza protection today. Magpabakuna po tayo laban sa influenza taon-taon. Vaccination, still the best way to prevent influenza. Maraming salamat. Ingat po kayo.